In this video, I'm going to be discussing why the Naira is actually losing its value again, even though it gained previous weeks ago, becoming one of the best performing currency in the world, according to Bloomberg. But now, Naira is actually still losing its value again. Should you sell or should you buy? Should you hold on to your Naira? Should you hold on to your dollar? What do you have to do? I will talk about it in this video, and I also have a very vital information for people who hold dollar through these crypto platforms, who do P2P. A very quite pivotal information for you towards the end of the video. So I will be explaining why the Naira is actually losing its value today, which is actually something that is actually obvious to many people. Now, the only way to paint why this is happening is to explain the scenario behind all of this. When you understand the scenario, then you'll be able to decode the major reason. So now, the first and foremost is that the CBN has actually floated the Naira. So immediately they floated the Naira, that some market forces actually come into play, and then Naira fell. The CBN starts clamping down on bureau de change that are not licensed. They clamp down on speculative activities, banned Binance, and a lot of other different things that they did. And they also cleared the backlog, which is actually the major driving factor behind the Naira gaining in previous weeks. The CBN actually cleared the backlog, and I explained what the backlog means, what it means in the previous video that I did. And now, when the backlog have been cleared, the CBN actually used the reserve, the foreign reserve that we have. The CBN actually used it to clear the backlog, and the foreign reserve actually experienced its lowest in 5 years. And CBN also starts doing something. They also start selling, dollars to registered bureau de change at a particular rate. So these are what actually trails the Naira floating. These are the things that CBN is actually doing. Now, explaining how the reserve works, which is actually one of the reasons why the Naira is actually losing its value again today. The reserve is actually something that is used, that is saved in hand for rainy days. Is it rainy days? They call it, or hot days, whatever it is. So it's just like you also save for emergencies. So the CBN using its reserve to to service the demand for the dollar. This is what the scenario looks like. Imagine you are selling powder. And then nobody is actually buying your powder, and then you are like, wow, nobody is buying your powder, there's no activity, nobody is buying your powder. Then you now think probably the amount you are selling your powder is too much. Then you now use your own personal savings to buy the powders that you are selling. You use your own personal savings to buy the dollars that you are selling, and then after using your personal savings to buy the powders you are selling, then you now reduced the price to sell it at cheaper rate, hoping that people will come and buy the powder, and then people will buy it. When people buy it, someone else sees the powder, someone else buy it, which is actually why using some of this method, when the CBN cleared the backlog, it's actually signal the CBN is open to attract foreign investment, to attract people who are coming to do business in Nigeria. So this is what CBN did, it's hoping that, okay, clearing the backlog will actually draw more foreign investment into Nigeria, because whenever someone wants to do business in Nigeria, they cannot really come. They need the CBN to actually facilitate their transaction. There's something we call capital control in financial market. A country, that you cannot just come into a country with a lot of money, and you cannot go out of the country with a lot of money as well, which is actually called money laundering. It's capital control. So if anybody wants to do business in Nigeria, they will actually need the availability of foreign currency. And when foreign currency is actually being demanded and nobody is servicing it, that is when people will know, I can't do business in this country, there's no availability of foreign currency, because the people who are even placing demand, they have backlog. So it discourages investment. So now the CBN cleared the backlog. When they cleared it, it signals to foreign foreign investors that, okay, you can do business in Nigeria. And this is what CBN did, hoping it will draw foreign investors, hoping it will bring activities into Nigeria. But of course, when they do it, if it brings activity, then the market will be able to sustain itself. But if it does not bring the activity that is desired, they will need to keep on using the foreign reserve to back what they are trying to maintain, with the local currency. So now the reason why the Naira is now falling is because the CBN is actually experiencing a lower foreign reserve. The foreign reserve is depleting, and they cannot control in the pace that they've actually started on. And they used to say dollars to registered BDC at a particular rate, but I personally don't think that is still ongoing. But I don't really think it's ongoing as it used to be. It will start becoming tougher and tougher, and I think that's what is reflecting in the market. Because when it's come to backlog as well, when there are a lot of backlog, the CBN will start choosing who to give dollar to, who to supply to, and who not to supply to. And I think that is what is reflecting the market right now. I believe many BTCs are not able to access the fund as they want to access it, probably because the foreign reserve is actually reducing. So this is a major reason why the Naira keeps losing its value currently, why the Naira is currently losing its value. And I think currently the Naira to dollar in the black parallel market around 1,490 something Naira. And although the CBN governor Cardoso said in an IMF meeting in Washington recently, he said the depletion of the foreign reserve is not because they are defending the Naira. But of course, that really does not actually speak like that, because we have another professional opinion. Charles Robertson, a London-based head microstrategy at FIM Partner, who said the CBN appears to be using the FX reserve to clear the valid backlog and return the Naira back to a realistic exchange rate. Going ahead from the foreign reserve situation, another reason is actually speculative activities, because when people think Naira is going to fall, Naira is going to fall. Whenever people think a currency is going to fall, a currency is going to fall, because when they think it's going to fall, many people will try to buy if people think Naira is going to fall, they will sell the Naira that they have. The same with people who do forex. People who trade and buy currency in forex, international forex market. If they believe Naira is going to fall, they sell the dollar that they have, and as much as they sell it, it keeps losing its value as well. And if they believe the Naira is going to rise, they keep buying the Naira. So there is always speculative activities in terms of financial exchange, in terms of money exchange. When the Naira is actually growing, there is actually a speculative activity as well, that people are, oh, Naira is growing, Naira is growing. Many people start buying Naira, it keeps increasing. But as time goes on, these people that buy because of the rumor, because of the speculation, as time goes on, they will start selling, and this is why we always have correction, what we could use to call correction. So there will also be correction, and that is why after the Naira got to 1-1, there was a correction, and because of other activities, we now have the Naira losing its value again. And because it's losing its value again, many people will also now start to sell Naira, will also start to buy dollars, and the speculative activities is also part of what is increasing the Naira to keep falling right now, because many people are, oh, Naira is falling again, let me sell, let me buy dollar. So now the question is, should you buy or should you sell your Naira, or should you buy dollar? And these are actually because there's actually economic activities that drive the currency up or down. There are just two major activities that I believe could actually drive the Naira up or down, as we are currently going to experience in a few weeks to come. And the first is the Dangote refinery. The Dangote refinery becomes a success and it actually produces petrol. If the Dangote refinery is able to account for a major part of local consumption, because Nigeria spends around $12 billion annually in importing of gasoline. After they sell the crude oil, they refine it, then they buy it, they import it again. So we spend billions of dollars every year on it. But if the Dangote refinery is able to, if the Dangote refinery becomes a success, then it has a high tendency of also enhancing the Naira, for the Naira to gain more stability. But of course, there are different things that also come into a refinery. There are a lot of things that come into it. The refinery has to totally depend on the grade of crude that is discovered in Nigeria, because there are different crude, there are different grades of crude oil that are discovered in different countries, and the refineries have different type of grade of crude oil that they can actually process. Hopefully, Dangote's refinery is able to process light sweet crude oil, which is what Nigeria majorly exports, which is what Nigeria majorly export and what they largely produce, the type of crude oil in Nigeria, light sweet crude oil. So if the Dangote refinery does not require a grade of crude oil that has to be imported, because there are different grades. There are some that we require a refinery to be imported, because probably because of operational cost. To lessen operational cost, they may decide that, okay, we do not really need much of this grade, we need another grade that we have to import. So, and if they import, oil is high, and because oil is high, they will have to import in dollar. So it may actually not give Dangote refinery the ability to actually lessen the price as he wants to lessen the price. So I choose to believe that Dangote refinery will not have any reason to import any grade of crude oil from overseas. And if that is the case, then that is a plus. And if Dangote refinery is also able to produce for the majority of local consumption, then we can be sure that the Naira is going to gain. And the second reason is that could actually drive the Naira up or down is the EFCC is actually working so hard in clamping down on speculative activities, especially like on KuCoin is no more working in Nigeria, Binance is not working in Nigeria. If it's possible, they would have actually totally banned this the operation of this platform in Nigeria. But of course, there's no P2P more in Nigeria on Binance, which is actually what they want. But we have other platforms that actually support P2P, where people still trade in P2P. But people who are into cryptocurrency should be really careful these days, because the CBN is actually monitoring a lot. The EFCC and CBN is actually monitoring a lot of accounts, a lot of people's accounts who are trading crypto, who are this P2P trading place, not trading crypto, but this P2P trading Nigerian currency to the P2P. The EFCC is actually monitoring them, and in the monitoring, some of them have become big boys and they know the bankers and the likes, and that was why this EFCC chairman was warning bank officials, that was last week, that they should not warn account owners that they are investigating, because when they start investigating different accounts, some bank officials start warning them. So the bank is actually monitoring a lot of accounts, people who are merchants on these P2P platforms, and they are freezing their accounts and the likes. And if you also want to trade in this platform, you have to be extremely careful, so that you don't just trade with anybody. There's a lot of signals on who to trade with and the likes, but I'm not here to support that or be against that. So you have to be very careful. The CBN is monitoring it, and if the CBN could be really successful in this regard, because these speculative activities are also contributing in their own way, not really largely, but in their own way, to the devaluation of the Naira, because when there are backdoors, then a lot of it will actually reduce the value. So if they are able to successfully clamp down on a lot of them, then you can be sure that the Naira will appreciate again. But it's actually very hard for them to do that, because it's hard for them to block an application. Binance application still works in Nigeria, KuCoin application works in Nigeria, different application works in Nigeria, but the firewall can easily block a website through the internet service provider. They can block the DNS and the likes through that medium. But the application still works, but you have to be careful, and I'm pretty sure probably the EFCC might actually get a way around that very soon, that they'll be able to ban P2P on a lot of the major platforms that we have again. And before people get access to another one coming in and the likes, the Naira may gain within that short period. So that's what I want to share with you in this video on why the Naira is falling again. And if there are any more developments, I will surely share it with you. Kindly like this video, kindly subscribe to this channel where I talk about something else, things related to finance and everything an entrepreneur needs to know, skills development and the likes. Hopefully see you in subsequent videos. This is Entrepreneur Hub.